welcome back to another episode of the Cage Bird Sings. I am your host, Sherika Shea, and we got my guy, the king, Ollie on the other end. Ollie, say hello to the people.
All right. Hello, everybody. God is good.
All the time and all the time. God is good. All right, love. So let's get into it. So today's episode is about growth. And
Speaking about growth, what does your growth look like? Uh, in that sense, this is a touchy subject for me in regards to this growth.
okay.
Uh, because I never thought I could grow. I always thought I'd be stagnated. And I never tried to tap in. I was too busy living in a certain mindset where I refused to even have that train of thought.
Yes.
But I'm going to say, man, once I, realized that in life you have to grow. If you stay the same, you're going to be right where you at.
Yes.
And now in my life, I refuse to live in that because I know there's better
Right.
for me, right?
Yes.
But it starts with you being able to grow. I was very immature, not only in my act, but in my thinking. For some reason, I felt that, violence was the answer. Because I didn't know how to necessarily deal with my emotions or my feelings. I lacked the ability to make the connection. So now I'm on this journey, and this growth is happening within me, and it makes me feel different. But the reality is, I never was different. It always was in me. I just didn't want to tap into it. Because I was ashamed, a lot of people, particularly men, won't say that because we have this ego.
Right.
We want to mask it by saying, I'm this or I'm that. But the reality is, I've been hurt, and it allowed me to believe that I deserve to hurt somebody else.
That's that saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But now as I'm growing, I see how all those things evolved in the connections, how I became the way I was. But I had to make that sacrifice and say, you know what, I got to grow.
Yes.
Education, self-help, those things are truly important in your growth.
Yes. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Was there something that either happened, or did you see someone, or was it a conversation that triggered that for you, or was that just something that you just understood within yourself that I needed to change or I need to grow? Like, did something inspire that?
Well, for me, just being honest, it's a combination of all those things, right? I don't want to say a specific one because it does it a disservice, because at the end of the day, I had to be able to look at all those things. But the reality is, when you sit inside prison, it becomes imperative that you figure out where you need to go and your shortcomings. So me looking at it and saying, here I am again in this particular situation. Why? I lack maturity in the growth. Because I've been stuck in this certain mindset that said my behavior is okay, and the reality is it's not. So how do I connect the dots? I gotta really be vulnerable and open up to myself because can't nobody help me but me.
Right.
I can look at and read and understand different things, but I have to be willing to change myself.
Yes.
So it starts with me.
Yes.
Saying, wow, man, like, I can make an excuse or grow.
Yes.
And I'm not saying right here, this, we got this show, and the important thing about the show is to be able to be sincere.
Yes.
And transparent, right?
Yes.
And that takes growth. So I'm willing to accept anything that comes with me taking my growth and understanding how I need to grow.
Mm-hmm.
By being accountable and not trying to hide
mm-hmm.
or minimize my behavior or my acts.
Yes.
Because there's no growth in that, right? There's no growth in that. That's immature.
Yes.
So identifying and understanding it, is what I have to do. So I love that you asked that question because it took all those things, yourself down, right? To the point where you never broke yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times it's hard to look at yourself in that way and be critical of self. But only way you're truly going to grow is by being critical of self.
Hmm.
So once I really was able to look at myself and really say self, I identified these certain behaviors because these things are not me.
Yeah.
These things all come from somewhere to allow me to display this type of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Let me identify it. So as I identify it, now let me learn from it. I refuse to sit back now, I'm 46, and say and make an excuse.
Hmm.
I gotta be accountable.
Hmm.
That takes growth.
It does.
So when I say, what do your growth look like, you want to look at it from a perspective, because we all have growth, but what does it really look like, though?
Mm.
Is it immature growth? Is it shallow growth? Is it misplaced growth? What type of growth is it? Because, see, my growth is authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect because I'm far from it.
Right.
I get up and I'll make bad choices and bad decisions just like the next person, but now I'm accountable for those bad choices and bad decisions, and I'm not going to waver from it.
Mm-hmm.
And say, well, this happened and this happened. No. I look at it, I understand it, because at the end of the day, if you don't look at it and understand it, you're going to lack that true, authentic growth. You're never going to grow. You're going to fool yourself into believe there's growth, and people are going to see it because they're going to understand you're still the same. I refuse to be the same. People in life, man, deserve to be able to enjoy, embrace life, and love life on life terms. But you got to respect life in order to truly embrace it. So that growth has to be there.
Yes, sir. Growth definitely has to be there. And you gotta look within first. That's where it all stems from. You know, you gotta look at why you make those choices, why you allow those things you do. Now, if you do not choose to keep not looking in yourself, like you said, you will not grow. And you wondering why things are happening. You wonder why things keep happening. You wondering why this keep happening. You need some self-accountability. Self-accountability. I don't know what I just said, but you need self-accountability. Did I say it right the first time?
No, you said it right, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, when you said that, it resonated with me.
Okay.
Because self-accountability is meaning understanding that you're accountable for self.
Okay. You,
well, that sounds good. Go ahead,
you left off on we was having a conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so when we had the conversation, I asked you, did you understand self?
Mm-hmm.
And you was breaking down self, right? So when you said self-accountability, and you probably was thinking, did I say the wrong word or use the wrong choice of word? But that's actually a word, because you got to be accountable to self.
Absolutely.
Right? You can't dismiss that.
Mm-hmm.
So first, you got to be able to identify self, who you truly are. Meaning that who you truly are, understanding that I'm flawed. Because we're all flawed. We're flawed by nature.
Mm-hmm.
And once we understand that and we're willing to accept that, let's go into the other things. That's why I say, for me, I was living in the lower nature all my life. So I justify it by saying this, that, or that. Meaning that I don't want people to get confused. When I did certain things, oh, I did it because of this.
Oh, excuse me.
But now I understand, looking and unturning that stuff, that's a lot. It hurts. But it takes growth to be able to dig in there and say, you know what, man, let me look at this stuff.
Right.
I don't want to use the S word, but let me look at this stuff.
Yeah, we kind of try to keep it as clean as we can.
Identify it, understand what it truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. We use the term hurt people, and the reality is that's true, because hurt people don't understand who they are.
Right.
Why do I hurt people?
Mm-hmm.
Let alone I'm hurting myself.
And I know it.
See how
so
we get
unaware.
back and identify with self?
It's so unaware.
Yeah,
it's so unaware.
Yeah.
So unaware. Huh.
We're unaware to a fault.
Yeah.
So that's why it takes you to challenge yourself and say, you know what? It's an old saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But you really got to be sick and tired.
You got to, and that is a place that you want to be, because out of that is gonna stem, right? Out of that is where your ability, where you plant that seed for you to grow. You plant that seed, but the same day you plant the seed is not the day you get the harvest. That's when you plant the seed to start to grow and change and allow yourself to pull those layers off and become that new version of yourself.
It's crazy, because a lot of times we don't want to put in that work. We just think things are just going to happen instantaneously. And it's not going to happen like that. You got to be willing to put in the work, because if you don't, you're going to continue down that same path.
Right.
And that's not a good thing. I said to somebody earlier, I was having this conversation, and I said, do you think God allows you to have second chances, right?
Yes.
And this person said yes. And I looked at it and I said, the reason being is that, you know, God understands your true potential. He understands your true self-worth. He understands your value.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. Because you're not tapping into that. We're too busy trying to identify with other things. It's no reason that we should sit there and be lazy, because I was being lazy. Oh, yeah, man, you know, I'm this and I'm that. I'm this dude. But the reality, I'm not that dude. I identified with that dude because I was comfortable being that dude, because at the end of the day, I was content in that. I'm not going to be content no more.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to let myself be content and be an idiot. I'm not speaking down on nobody. I'm speaking about self. Because I understand my true virtue.
Yeah.
I understand at the end of the day, I'm a king.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to display that. I'm going to allow people to see that.
Mm-hmm.
No more am I going to make an excuse and not be accountable for self. I'm going to allow myself to grow to the point where it's going to become infectious.
Mm.
See, we wake up every morning and we don't understand why we do these things because we don't want to understand.
Yes, sir.
You got people in life, man, they're growing because they want to grow because they understand that you need to grow. You can't be stagnated all your life, man. It's not a good thing. You don't want to stop yourself from growing. You want to challenge yourself every day. Do that to you when I asked that question and you went in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you understood your growth.
Mm-hmm.
You understood how you needed to grow.
Yes, sir.
But you was able to dig deep and challenge yourself.
Yeah, I fought for that. I fought hard.
You fought for that.
Yes.
Hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from you every day.
Same here, cousin.
You know, that's why I say, man, I'm gonna end on this note. The importance of obviously the topic
Mm-hmm.
is very important for you to be able to identify what your growth looks like. There's many versions of growth, but the true epitome of growth is, to me, I'm just speaking for me because I can't speak for anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
is to be able to be authentic and transparent in your growth. Meaning if you're not being truthful with your growth, you're never going to grow.
Mm.
I firmly believe that. I was so shallow in my growth that I truly believed that I was growing.
Mm.
I was willing to stand in front of people and act as if I was growing, and the reality is I wasn't growing. I played that role too. See, we play so many different roles that we started to believe these roles. So I was playing the role as I was growing, and I was willing to stand in front of people and act as if I was growing. But I never was growing. I was just immature.
Mm.
So once I started to identify, because when you asked the question, you said, did it happen here? Was there situation? It was all those things. But when I got along with myself, and I really got along with myself, I really seen that there was no growth in me. That was hard for me to stomach because I knew without growth, how can I be productive
Mm-hmm.
in society and truly allow myself to be a part of society if I don't have growth? If I don't identify with the negativity and that allow me to have this immature growth and this mindset. I'm going to continue to go backwards. So let me dig deep. And as my cousin said, pull back these layers and really look at these layers and not gloss over, but really look at them.
Yes.
And say, oh. Now as I look at them and I start to understand them, because you got to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I understand them, I identify them to the point where now I take that away, and now let me grow from that. Because we can be naive in our growth as well. I don't want to be naive no more. So I'm going to say this on this note. Please take advantage of your day-to-day. When you get up and you start your day, start making a list. And then when you look at that list 2 or 3 weeks from now and see how far have you grown from that list. identify those things because those things will help you grow. Challenge yourself. Make that challenge to yourself. Because I promise you, as you start to grow, you're going to start to understand self.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense, Ollie. So much sense. And I just wanted to add to this, and then I guess we'll end the podcast unless you have something extra. But I just want to add, in your breakdown and in you pulling back your layers and in you allowing yourself to grow, grant yourself grace. Grant yourself grace. Grace, God gives us grace renewed every day. So make sure you give yourself that same grace. Growth is ugly. Growth is not easy. Growth looks like tears. Some days it look like happy days. Some days you're going to be mad at yourself. Some days you might be mad at somebody else. But grant yourself grace and allow yourself to grow. And that's it. That's it. I love you, King.
Yeah, thank you, Sherika, for allowing me in your space and giving me your time.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank the people, too. You know,
thank y'all for being here.
I love the fact, that, you know, we get this opportunity,
Yes, sir.
to be able to obviously share and have these thoughts and, you know, be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, man, I'm a work in progress. So this show allows me to grow as well.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I just want to grow with the people.
There you go.
So thank y'all, man.
See y'all next episode.
God bless.
God bless.